Hey everybody, so here are the two pods in their final resting homes. Like I said, I still got some more work to do on the antenna module there. That's a little ways off, but the pod itself is pretty much done. And over here there's two last things I want to do for this guy, and that is get HAL's eye working and put a piece of plastic right behind the viewport there. I would tack that in with some white glue or some rubber cement so I can remove it. If I shoot it in front of the green screen, the reflections off the plastic would be too much to remove later, so that's something you add in with a 3D program. But overall, I'm pretty psyched about this. The one thing that's kept me from doing HAL's eye is that in the film it's really just the smallest of red dots, and putting a full-blown LED in there is definitely going to be too powerful. So I'm going to think about that for a while and essentially call this one done now. On the platform here, it can rotate a full 90 degrees to each side and still remain magnetized. So I'm really happy about that. Let me turn some lights on here and we'll get a better view. So a couple things I can say about this kit is that this one has been probably the most challenging build that I've ever done yet. Out of 3 years lately of building stuff, this one has given me the most troubles, and it's also come out fairly well overall. I did have to make some compromises along the way to get it finished. There's an interior to this kit, and that was mainly what was holding me up for the better part of 2 years, because I didn't really know how to tackle that. I wanted to do that really well, so basically I just decided to leave that out. In the studio miniature there is no interior, so I figured this is essentially as good as that. What was the next major thing? Leaving out the interior. After that, everything went together. As far as the build goes, there's only like 5 or 6 parts, so it's not like that was really complicated. But keeping the primer really light so that I didn't distort any of the details on the front face there, that was tough. I left off a piece of plastic that should go across here called the eyebrow in the kit part. That was just too complicated for me to get. In the last stages of the finish, I got a few Mars in there, so it's not perfectly white like it should be. I am really glad that the gloss and the matte passes went down really well, so that could have been a total problem later on, or when I had done that. The LEDs, they look pretty good on the video here, but I could have set them a little further back to give them better dispersion into the headlamps themselves, the lenses. Next major thing was the decals. Those were definitely tough. They were old, so that was part of the issue, and the red bled in a few places, but I was able to mop that up without too much difficulty. They're a little thicker than standard decals, so they have a bit of a surface going on, and I'll unplug this and pull it on the bench in a minute and get some really good close-ups. And the worst part about them was that the two red ones that go on these here, those were totally missized for the part, so I really had to screw around with that to get them to barely fit, and I kind of ruined them in the process. But overall, I'm really happy. All the details really add a lot to this. Putting a mirror on the back of this would be good so you can see the back of the kit, but I suppose the mirror would be kind of blocked as well. So let me pull this off the wall and we'll take a look. So overall, the decals came out pretty good. You can probably see a line there. I was hoping that the matte pass would kind of hide that a little better, but from a distance it's not too obvious. Had they been printed on clear paper instead of white paper, that definitely would have gone a long way, I think, to helping them get down a little better. So there's a few places like up here where I got some dust in the finish, and I don't know if that came in the white pass, the matte, the gloss, or where it was, but it happened. Over here, maybe the camera's picking up that little black spot. There's a few of those going on, and those came in They just snuck in at the very last second, and there wasn't too much I could do about them short of refinishing the whole thing. And I'm not about to do that. So those are now a permanent feature. Look at these decals here. So yeah, the decal is basically a straight up rectangle, and the shape it's supposed to fit into is all sorts of crazy polygon with a lot of ins and outs to it, and just getting it to look like that was a trick. The Solvaset really helped by melting it in there, but it also dissolved some of the decal as well. I did forget to put down 2 small black text decals below the caution signs on the arms here. It's not too bad a major problem. That top decal there, that kind of got warped. I didn't notice that until it was a little too late. Looks like I got a... no, that's just a little dust on there. I do have to put that piece of plastic in there to keep the dust out of there. That's definitely going to be critical. And getting HAL's eye right, I'm not going to worry about that now. It is something I will do later down the road. A lot of my 2001 kits are kind of in progress, sitting on the wall for a while. So I don't mind if this is one of them, especially if it's at this stage of detail. So here's a good close-up of that red decal there, and you can probably pretty much see how it didn't quite want to fit in at all. Overall, that's pretty much it. Some of the blemishes on here are actual live dust, not burned in dust. I'm really happy about the paint job. You know, it certainly can't get too much simpler than black and white. But at the same time, it really what makes this model come alive. Down here on the bottom, this is all good. You might be able to see some texture in the lower left there from the platform. I put this on there a little too early before the matte spray was dry. But probably most of the blemishes can be seen on the bottom here. And of course, since it is the bottom, they pretty much won't be seen at all. So that is definitely a good thing. And probably most of the damage that's going to occur over time is right at the center hole where the magnets go, depending on how often I take this off the platform or spin it around, because the wire will drag to some degree. One other part that I'm just noticing is that when I put these arms in, there's this little bar right here, additional. And on this arm, I actually rebuilt all of this because I snapped it along the way, and you can definitely see some repair damage up in this area. But that little extra arm, it fell off at one point. It looks like this rear arm is a little cockeyed too. Yeah, definitely. So if I bend that too much more, though, I risk breaking it completely, and that's a full-blown repair. So I don't know that I'm going to be doing that anytime soon. Actually, compared to this arm, you can definitely see how much further off that one is. I think that I bent that into the place I wanted, but it's fallen back again. And maybe I can put a little super glue in there and help it stay where it should be. I just really hate the idea of snapping it right now. So I may just let that one sit for a while as is. So overall, this is done. I gotta reset my green screen, and I'll definitely get some shots of this at that point. What I'll have to do is make another power plug so that I can take this off the platform and have it powered, because right now it's dependent on the power from that plaque. So that's pretty much it for the EVA Pod. Finished. Done. Complete. Finito. That is it. Adios. See ya.